Sherman episode. I have the lovely, charismatic, sexual, energizing, from Calgary, Alberta, Mr. Duke Carson. I feel like I'm so confused because I've never talked to a drag queen or drag king before on this show, and so and you're presenting female today, so I'm like, what is gender? What are pronouns?
Gender is a social construct.
Tear it apart, Sasha Velour.
Yeah.
So welcome to Edmonton. I know you were here last night performing for Fruit Loop.
Yes.
Talk about that experience.
Well, it was my first time performing. It was my first time performing at a venue other than Evo, just down the street, and it was great. It was super busy. There was lots of the crowd was really great. It was well organized. They had a hotel room as a dressing room for us, and it was organized so that you were able to see the other queens perform too. You were able to take a break separately to kind of go up and get changed, so you're able to watch everybody's performance. And
have you noticed the difference between performing in Edmonton versus performing in Calgary so far?
A little bit. This is only my fourth performance in Edmonton.
Right.
Yeah. I don't really do the clubs in Calgary as much. I usually get booked for other shows. I don't perform at Twisted too often.
Okay.
So.
Where does a drag king in Calgary perform then?
Well, I started out with the Fake Moustache Drag King troupe.
Right.
It's run by a good friend of mine, James Dean, and we do shows at a local pub called Dickens.
Okay.
And it's this underground gem of a bar. I thought it was a gay bar when I first started going there.
Well, I feel like it would be if it's called Dickens. That sounds like a very big euphemism for penis.
Right? It worked. It totally worked. And then I only ever went there for gay shows. And then I started getting into the metal scene, and some buddies were like, come to our show. It's at Dickens. I'm like, what? Okay. And then I went, and it's just full of thrashers and bangers, and there's broken glass everywhere, and I'm like, oh, that's why it's always on this is why we need to sweep the stage, it makes sense. And the blonde in me is oh, that's why there are all these band stickers on the walls and in the bathroom, and there's it's slowly starts to make sense. It's a great venue. They do everything. They do comedy, burlesque, metal, punk, gamer Sundays.
That's amazing.
And drag shows.
That's sweet. I did want to talk about when I did some creeping, some investigative work, and you talked about in your interview with Northwest Territories Pride.
Yeah.
You talked about that James Dean did a teaching at your school in an outdoor sex ed class.
So my girlfriend at the time, she invited me to a queer sex ed class.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Because I grew up Catholic, so
right.
Catholic schools, you never have sex ed classes. But I was like, yeah, I'll go to this. She was like, the school won't have it, so we're having it in the field.
Okay.
So we went and sat in this field of this high school until it started to rain, and then we went to a coffee shop, and there was probably 15 people that showed up for this.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was how I met James, and then we became friends on Facebook. And then when I turned 18, I started going to the shows, and I think 4 months later I was performing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just think it's great when people do queer sex ed class, because when I was growing up, I was from a super small town in northern Alberta, and we talked about the parts, this makes this is what the testicles do, but we didn't talk about consent, queer people. We didn't talk about I don't know, there's some other things we didn't talk about that I was I don't know, I'm not a teacher, but I was let's expand the curriculum.
Right? Yeah.
Because we don't learn enough about that.
No.
To be sort of drag king, and how that process was, and having James Dean as your mentor.
It was really kind of cool. Everyone in the troupe kind of stepped in a little bit I could account my drag beginning to all of them. I remember walking into Dickens super early for my first show. Walked in, and it took me to the back room, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, it's the very best, and Nolan Neptune, and I'm just freaking out because there's all these performers that I've seen on stage before, and they're just backstage getting ready I'm about to, and it was really, really cool for me. And yeah, everyone just kind of throws out little tips and tricks as it goes. Duke Carson didn't really come into the full-out rock and roll thing until probably the last year and a half, 2 years, I'd say.
Wow.
I kind of experimented with the types of music that I wanted to perform to, figuring out my relationship with performing in long hair, whether I wanted to hide it or not.
Right.
Getting all the trademarks down really took a lot of time to kind of come into.
And how did you decide on the name Duke Carson?
Duke came from my dog. I've got a shitty little terrier that I love to bits named Duke. And that it just kind of seemed to fit. It's kind of like a classic manly-ish name.
Right.
And then Carson came from a weird clubbing night. Whenever I would go out as a female, I would tell people that my name was Marcy. And there was this guy who was so inebriated, and he was like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Marcy." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Marcy." And then he said, "Carson?" And I'm like, yeah, let's go with that. So it just kind of stuck. And I was like barely even doing drag then. I think that was still before I started doing drag, but then when it came time to choose a drag name, it just kind of went together and held through.
Why do you give your name Marcy at bars?
Because I don't know. I don't want people to know my real name.
Okay, that's fair. It's fair. People are creepy these days on Facebook.
I've got so many other names. I mean.
Yeah, you're Duke Carson, you're Jordan, you're Marcy.
Yeah, BB occasionally.
BB? Who's BB?
Bio Queen.
Oh, okay.
Bio Queening. I love it.
So what is different? I know we're just derailing here, so improv is on the spot. So how do you distinguish when you're Duke and when you're BB? Like, is that like a switching a thing in your brain to be like, oh, now I'm masculine, now I'm feminine?
100%. Duke is very drawn from. I was actually thinking about this on the way over. Duke is very drawn from like the sexual power that you see from like rock and roll, like male icons of rock and roll. And I was listening to like a female group from Sweden on my way over here, and I was like, I wonder why I don't really do rock and roll in bio drag.
Right.
And I was thinking it's because I've only really been, like, I grew up being exposed to only female icons of like pop music and things.
Of course.
So like Search for the Next Doll and like Girlicious, like those TV shows, like watch them back to back.
I love when everyone ever like mentions Girlicious because they give me life. Like their song "Stupid Shit." I don't know if they'll ever see this, but like "Stupid Shit" is my jam at the gym on like the elliptical.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Just like get those knee-high socks and get on that chain link fence.
It is one of those songs that if I was a sexy drag queen, I would do and like be amazing at. But I'm not a sexy drag queen, so there's that. That's why I do like monologues and political shit. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like it's a huge switch. I'd like to just try to find like a rock and roll groove in bio drag, but I love like being like hyper feminine, real sexy, a little slutty with it. Like zero shame costume reveals down to anything. Like I like it.
Oh, she gets naked.
Oh, honey. honey.
Oh, God, that's like me. Every time I get a little drunk or, like, a touch of alcohol, I mean, it's on my Facebook, like, last night, but I was like, if I get a touch of alcohol, I think I'm Trixie Mattel. I'm like, oh, honey, all the time. It's fucking exhausting, actually. So I want to talk your inspirations for Duke Carson, because, like, whenever I see Duke Carson, I think Macho Man Randy Savage, Bret Michaels had sex, with maybe like RuPaul, and then like that's Duke Carson.
Okay, that's a mix.
How would you describe Duke Carson?
Duke Carson, he's not of his time. Definitely, like all of my inspirations from predominantly the 80s. I like delving back into like the heavy metal of like the 70s to 90s gets a little iffy.
Yeah.
That music kind of started to derail.
A little like Kurt Cobain here and there.
Yeah, like I love whenever I did a makeup tutorial with David Malibu a little while ago, and he was watching me, and he was like, "Oh, so you like take some darker and you like smudge it under your eye?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I like to pretend that I've been on tour for 3 weeks and I've slept for 12 hours in between them." Right, like you gotta get a little bit messy, live that rock star life. But I would take a lot of inspiration from Whitesnake.
Okay.
Bon Jovi, like any like your classic icons rocking like the big hair, the sex appeal, like Van Halen tight cock rock, like anything. I draw all my inspiration from the music that I listen to and the music that I perform to. So
I want to switch over to talking about how I sort of know who you are. Is Alberta's Next Drag Superstar?
Yeah.
Let's talk about do you ever do competitions sort of like that in Calgary? It's always weird when I talk to people who from our different cities. So I was like, what do I talk to them about? And then so, but yeah, do you do different competitions in Calgary like that at all ever?
No, Anne's, I ran for Anne's last year, didn't make it through Calgary finals, and then, did Anne's this year, and those are the only 2 drag competitions I've ever been in.
Oh, wow. And
yeah.
She worked it.
She got her done. But there's an online one kind of held through Instagram and YouTube called King Me, Rise of a Drag King.
Okay.
And it's put on by a couple of kings down the States, and they get judges from like all over the world. And you're also competing with kings all over the world, so that's super cool.
Yeah.
Lots of kings from like Europe, again down the States, and it's really neat. So yeah, auditions open up in August, and I'm gonna get into that one too.
Amazing. So what do you feel like? I know sort of like if I do a show here, I sort of know the queens that are going to be in it. What's it like being in and now like this drag king competition you're going to be doing, competing against people you have no fucking clue who they really are?
It's interesting. It's intimidating a little bit when you don't know who. I don't want to say like who you're up against, but even just doing like a regular show with people that you don't know, you really need to go into it being really fully open. You need to be ready for your shady queens and your comedy queens and your bitchy queens, and same with kings, right? You have to be ready for the ones that are ready. But yeah, it's you just kind of go in with an open mind, and the best thing for any show or any competition is just to be really, really confident in you, and to be really, really prepared, because no matter what anyone else is doing or whatever else is happening around you, you know that you can turn it. You know that you can produce what you're trying to go for.
100%. What was it like being judged by Derek Barry and her men? Who else was it? Is that it for judges at Alberta Next Week?
It was Derek Barry, Nebraska, and Nick.
Yeah, what was that like for you?
It was so cool. It was awesome. Like the year before, didn't make it through to Anne's, but they asked me to open for Katya when she did her show the night before. So I got to meet Katya, which was awesome. But yeah, no. Derek in Nebraska, they kept, like, every time we would come backstage, like, for a little, like, for a break or anything, they'd come over and talk to me. Like, they actually, like, genuinely wanted to talk. Yeah. Which was really, really cool. And even when we went to, like, do the photo for, like, the meet and greet photos, they were just, like, they signed the photo. Like, I got my face in Nebraska's tits. It was great. And then they just, like, stood there talking to me, and the photographer's like, and I'm like, talk to them. Like, I'm sorry. But no, they're so great and really nice. And I loved how, for the little Miss America portion of the evening in formal wear, the questions that they asked, they drew from what they had seen of the performer. I thought that was really, really neat. It's
very more personalized than just like, what do you want? World peace.
Right?
And what was it like winning a competition like that, especially being from some Calgary, where like we haven't had someone win from that in last 5 years, I think it was, and then we have like you're the first king to win that competition.
Yeah, a lot of firsts. Even two biological women in the final.
That's
How
amazing.
Crazy is that? When they announced like Kat and I looked at her. I'm like, oh my god, and I got so excited and then so nervous because Kat's like absolutely amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
And I have no idea like what reveals she's doing. I have no idea what choreo she has planned. And I was like, we just like. Either way, I'm going to be, like, so stoked to have made it this far, to have gone up against, like, all of these incredibly talented queens. Just, like, the experience was incredible. It was really, really cool. It was crazy.
Now, when I talked to Kat earlier in our tea time with Sherman, she talked about, like, she sort of faces a bit of a backlash of being a biological woman, being a hyper queen in the drag world.
Got some of that last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, because like she gets really frustrated, and like people always like say garbage things to her because she is a woman expressing gender and she's not like a cis man doing it.
Yeah.
What are the sort of things that you face in that sort of situation?
I don't do bio drag very often, or hyper drag, whatever you want to call it with. I don't do that very often, so I haven't really faced any backlash from that. The environments that I've done it in have always been fairly supportive, but you get a lot from like cis men or gay men. Drag kings get discredited a lot. Just the art form, it's seen on TV, right? And just throughout the community. And at the show last night, as a specific, I have no idea who it was, but I got off stage, off my first number, and this guy comes up to me, and he was like, so when I first found out that you won Anne's, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, when I first found out that you won, I was like, what? No. Cause you're a woman. And I was like, how does that? And I'm like, this better be getting good real fast. Like, you're about to get a boot up your ass. And, yeah, he kind of, like, kept on for me. He's like, but then I saw you, and I'm kind of like, I kind of get it, because you're pretty good. And I'm like, well, thanks, I guess. Next time, just don't be so shitty. And I, like, walked away and went to the dressing room to get changed. But, it really does put, like, it puts a stick in your night, because there is so much support from the community and from people, but all it takes is one asshole to kind of, like, get you back into a negative zone. But there's some titties out at the show last night.
Oh.
There was some, because it's legal now.
Right.
You won't get fined a ridiculous amount of money if AGLC catches you. So yeah, my tape popped in my number, as it happens, and when it does, all you can really do is go with it.
Yeah.
And then there's another incredible performer, bitch, what that wet pussy.
Yes.
Just,
Legend,
oh my god, so crazy. Yeah, she's got, like, this banana dick underneath her skirt. Like, I really hope it's on YouTube somewhere. She's got, like, a real banana, like, as a dick. It, like, it was awesome. And then, yeah, she popped her bra. She did the song "What About Us," and it was so empowering to watch and, like, to see her upstage. And then I caught myself, like, scanning the crowd, because there's, like, I think there's a bridal party there last night.
Yeah.
They're living for it. Like, they're in the front row, and just, like, a whole bunch of people that are, like, jumping and screaming and cheering. And then, like, I was just kind of casting around the room, and you get a lot of that from a lot of guys in the building, and it's disheartening to see, but you really need to bring yourself back and focus on the support and the people that are there for you.
It's really disappointing, because we're, like, as gay people, we get to choose our family. Apparently, I'm a RuPaul now. But, like, as gay people, we're supposed to be, like, inclusive and, like, welcoming everybody. But then it's always weird when, like, I see people give shitty comments to Kat, or, like, give shitty comments to Kings, because, like, they're not cis men dressing up as women, and so it's very, like, we're as gay people supposed to expand our thinking, not, like, narrow in our thinking. So that's always frustrating.
Yeah, I got shit on the first time I tried to perform at Twisted as well.
Really?
Like, I almost got kicked out of the dressing room, and then it was actually a queen that I wouldn't expect, but actually, like, stood up for me, told the person to step down.
Right.
Like, she's here to perform, step the fuck down, and, like, went on with the show, and I got a half-assed apology later that evening. But then when my sister, she started doing her bio drag, and she's like, I really want to perform at Twisted. And I'm like, I'm going with you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want her to experience the same thing that I did. And it happened.
Oh, wow.
It happened again, like, a year and a bit later. The exact same thing. And it was like, yeah, it's just interesting.
Is this person just shitty because you're girls, or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was like their variety night. It's not like we're trying to enter their, like, sexy shorts contest or whatever. There used to be a ladies' night for that. There used to be a ladies' night, but no, it's back to dudes only. But no, it was variety night, like anything goes. So.
Yeah, so I don't see why that would be a thing.
It was, yeah.
That's disappointing. And my question was going to be, like, you were dating an exotic dancer who performed with you at Valley. Then before we started, you were like, that's my sister.
That's my sister.
So X that question.
Yeah.
But you did say you brought her in because she would be like a white snake dancer back in the day. Yeah. And so was that an easy collaboration?
It is. We always put on shows, like, when we were kids.
Right.
We were always very creative. We weren't allowed to, like, watch TV or anything. So we would, like, put on shows for our parents or our neighbors at any given point in time. If there was a dinner party happening, we were downstairs, like, cutting things up in the dress-up box and, like, choosing music.
That's amazing.
So we've kind of always been doing it. But yeah, we work together a lot, and we've done a couple duets and things. And it just, yeah, she was really easy to work with. I knew she could move the way that I needed her to.
Perfect, made it happen.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your Hay River Pride adventure. You, Sister Mary Clarence, my good friend, Lilith Fair, friends with as well, went with David and Bambi of Dragging Our Heels on a 10-hour adventure both ways.
It was closer to 11 to 12. I think it was 11 on the way up there, and actually probably 11 on the way back.
Gross.
Yeah, it was gross.
A lot of driving.
It was a lot of driving.
Gross. But tell me about that adventure, because that seems like quite the adventure in itself.
It was an adventure and a half. So my adventure started Thursday night when I got off work at 6. I went home, showered, hopped in the car, drove up to Edmonton.
Right.
And then crashed at Sister Mary's place. And the only time I'd met her before was at Anne's.
Right.
Like when she was hosting. And she just messaged me in the group chat. She was like, hey, I've got, like, a guest bedroom. Come stay with me the night. I'm like, okay. So, like, get to our place. So we're up for, like, 2 hours. We're just, like, having a blast. Like, we clicked instantly.
Little kiki.
Yeah. Low-key. But, no, that was great. And then she made a donut party in the morning to get donuts for the road.
Oh, and big shout-out. Duke Carson brought me some moonshine donuts. Also the same owners of Donut Party, so...
All about vegan
hit them
donuts.
up.
It's just... Yeah.
Best donuts in Edmonton.
Yeah. Edmonton has, like, 3 vegan donut places, and Calgary's none.
We have, like, the strangest collection of, like, there's a niche thing, Edmonton has it. I swear.
It was so funny. Last time we were up here, we wanted to go to Frickin' Delights in Devon on the way out.
Right.
And we didn't know where it was, so we got it up on, like, the GPS, and it was like, Frickin' Delights. Frickin' Delights. It's on your left.
Surrey's cussing at you.
It was so funny. Yeah, it was great.
We're switching back to Bonnie with Sister Mary at before he
tangent. Donuts.
My brain's always like this way. It's like hard to focus. I don't know why I'm in school. That's awful.
It's casual. But yeah, so hopped in a 10-passenger van. I had the most luggage because I brought a cooler because I'm vegan.
Right.
I'm strict vegan.
Complicated.
Yeah. But yeah, hop in the van with, Sky was there. Then Storm, person who organizes Hay River Pride, came down and drove up with us. Then Ferris and Bambi, and then we picked up Lilith, and then we finally hit the road.
Right.
Slept for a lot of the trip.
Okay.
Talked for a lot of the trip. I learned a lot about people that I don't know.
Right. Looks like if you're stuck in a car with them for 10 hours, you got a bond.
Yeah, 100%. And it was good because there's also, like, times where it was cool just being in total silence. But yeah, the drive up was actually pretty nice. There's, I don't want to say, like, nice scenery. It was just pretty, though.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it didn't quite feel like 11 hours.
Right.
But we get up there. We finally got to our hotel. I think it was, like, 9:30. And we check in. We go to the venue. And we're like, cool. And we just like, are you going to stay? Because it was right in our hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, yeah, can we get some food menus? And we're like, oh, we stopped serving food an hour ago. And we're like, okay, well, where can we eat? And she's like, maybe ask at the front desk. And was being like really weird about it. And we're like, oh, okay. So go to the front desk, and she's like, the only place you're going to be able to get food at this time of night, at 9:30 at night,
9:30
is at the 24-hour gas station called the Rooster, which is essentially a glorified 7-Eleven. That's like 5 times the price.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was. And Lilith was hosting the show the next night. She made sure to talk about the Rooster, how any other 24-hour Rooster would be a slutty little gay establishment.
Oh, of course.
But no, it was the only place you could get very, very overpriced food that time of night. So it was, yeah. We did make it to the liquor store before it closed.
Yes.
That was important.
That's necessary.
Yeah, then the day of, we got into drag, and the day festivities kind of happened on the front lawn of the library.
Okay.
So we put, like, rainbow flags on people's faces, and they had, like, a fundraiser barbecue type thing.
Right.
Talked and chatted with a bunch of people, and then we got to read books to kids.
Cute.
Which is kind of fun, and lots of adults that were there just kind of sat down on the grass, and we found a couple queer-natured books type of deal, talking about, like, kids that don't have the gender norm, but still, like, very family-friendly.
Right.
Yeah, that went over really well. Then we de-dragged, except Bambi. Bambi stayed in drag.
She's a real woman.
All right. Oh, yeah, 100% biological woman, antlers and everything. Real women have antlers.
Fresh out of the forest.
And we were told about their waterfalls.
Right.
Like, about half hour out of town, maybe. They have really awesome waterfalls. And we had a lot of time, so we're like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we went. Bambi's in drag. We go to, like, the lookout point. Beautiful. It kind of looked like whiskey or coffee waterfall. Like, they were kind of brown, but still just gorgeous. So we, like, stood at them from the viewpoint, and then Sky, Lilith, Mary, and I went down to, like, go by just on the ledge by it, and there was a Hutterite group date.
Okay.
This was, like, the ultimate highlight of the trip. A Hutterite group date. There was, like, 6 couples sitting there. They were perturbed by our presence immediately. Like, their gaydar was on point. So we weren't doing anything, like,
sniffed you out.
We weren't doing anything, like, overtly gay until we realized that they were uncomfortable with us being there. And then, so we're hanging out, checking out the waterfalls. All of a sudden, Lilith turns up, looks at the viewpoint, she's like, oh my god, a deer! And everyone at the waterfall turns and looks, and it's Bambi standing up there with Paris. And it was like, everyone left. The four of us were just kind of like killing ourselves laughing, and they just like got up and left. They were done with their shit. It was really, really funny. And then, yeah, got over that, went back to the hotel, got into drag again, and did a really good show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the bar was full. It was delayed a little bit because we had to wait until the hockey game was over.
Of course. Priorities. Get priorities right.
Yeah. And we were, I don't want to say we were concerned, but we were a little wary about doing the venue. It was like a sports bar type deal, and we were a little wary, but you could see, like, if people came in through the night and realized that this was not what they were here to see, they laughed right away.
Oh, perfect.
So, yeah, there was no issues. Like, the town was great. Everyone that was there to see us was incredible.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, it was a great crowd. Lots of people came down from Yellowknife, got to meet a bunch of performers and stuff, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was really kind of, like, curious about how that would go, just because I'm from, like, Grand Prairie, Alberta, and that's like not like the super like gayest place either.
Yeah.
And then you went even like 5 hours more above that, and so I'm like,
keep going up.
They keep like less gay in your show.
Yeah, less gay and less gay as it goes.
But it's nice that the people that like weren't there to see you weren't like making a big deal or making it like
they weren't shitty.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Winding sort of down, what does being Duke Carson mean to Jordan?
He's a very quintessential part of me, but also very separate at the same time.
Yeah.
I really like having the defined line of like between myself and between Duke, because I'm able to like better differentiate between myself and the two. Like while you're on stage, I find it helps like get rid of your nerves and really helps you go all out in a performance.
Yeah.
And sometimes Duke's the best part of my day. Like rough day at work or like bad day, like how to fight anything, I'll be like, I have this drag video, or I have a drag show tonight, or just remember that there's an entire community of people that love and appreciate me for who I am and what I do while I'm in drag.
Yeah.
So no, I'd be a very different, probably significantly less happy person if Duke Carson hadn't come around and kind of evolved to the point where he's at right now. So.
That's awesome. And let's just finish up. Do you want to plug your next little bit of gigs for the rest of the summer? So the people that will watch Tea Time with Sherman will know where to find Duke Carson.
I don't have one. I don't know when my next Edmonton gig is, but if you're down in Calgary, there is... Oh, just kidding. It's all sold out. I'm doing Drag Brunch with Lila McQueen in Calgary on the 24th, which is pretty neat.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see her. Like, I feel like she would get a good cut on Drag Race, so I'm excited to see what else she can do. I think she'll be on like an All-Stars or something.
All-Stars 4?
Yeah.
With Twiggy again. And Shangela.
Twiggy?
No, not Twiggy. Tammy
Twiggy
Brown.
is here from Edmonton. She's an amazing drag queen. Check her out.
Get her on there. All-Stars 4! I've heard so much about Twiggy.
Have you never seen Twiggy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where have you seen Twiggy?
Just like in videos and
yes.
things.
She's iconic, legendary. Watch
legendary.
Twiggy on Drag Race House.
Sorry, where else? Playlist.
Where else could you see Duke Carson?
I am doing Red Deer Pride. I believe it's August 18th with Derek Barry.
Amazing. Seeing her again.
Stoked on that. And next Fake Moustache show is in Calgary at Dickens on July 12th.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me on Tea Time with Sherman this afternoon, Jordan / Duke Carson.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time, friends. Bye.
Bye.